The theme for this year's UNIV Forum was the search for happiness. In this video, we shall explore happiness in three interesting perspectives, and that's that of faith, art, and pain. Join me as I walk through this exciting journey in search for higher truth.
So hi, my name is Father Martin Mundia. I am a priest of the Prelate of Opus Dei. I work in Strathmore University as one of the chaplains. I studied moral theology as my specialization, and before that I studied Bachelor of Commerce, and I worked in the industry for a number of years before I became a priest. Happiness to me means the joy one experiences when you achieve a desired good. So for instance, right now I'm hungry and I've identified a place where I can get some good meal. So as soon as I get that good meal and I eat it, then after that I think I'll be a happy man. But then I know I'll get hungry again. So, you know, in that sense, you can say that's a sort of a temporary happiness. But then there are other goods that give you a longer lasting happiness, you see. So there is lots of beauty in this world, like in this garden, for example. You look around, you see all these nice trees, the sun, the light, and people. I think that gives you a longer lasting happiness. I've had an experience at the coast in Mombasa. Once we went there, and I remember that moment when we sat on the beach and it was a sunny day, the sky was blue, and then the sound of the ocean was, you could hear the sea as the waves broke, and it was just incredible. You can spend hours and hours just staring at the sea, and on top of that, there's someone who offered us some fish. So that compounded the happiness. I'm a hungry man. And then, but just the sight of the ocean and the life there was just amazing. But then I realized then if you keep transcending that and looking at things that are more spiritual, and you experience that joy of possessing it, then that happiness lasts like forever. Yeah, that's why I mean, for me, ultimately, happiness is God. So when I experience God's presence in my life, um, when I am in prayer, when I speak with people and they tell me about their experiences with God, and even when they ask me to pray for them, and I pray for them, and some, like the leper who came back, come back and they thank you, but I'm like, okay, I'm not the one who did that. It's God. But then you share in their joy, you see, and the amazing things I've seen, I've experienced that way. So, in a certain sense, happiness is something that is infectious. Just like when you have a great time with your friends, also, you experience a certain joy that can only come from that, sharing the time together, or something in common that you have. But for me, ultimately, happiness is God, and I guess that's what heaven is, to be in God's presence forever. And yeah, then just to like think of some of the greats who have spoken about the topic of happiness. I mean, I think for someone like St. Augustine, we cannot experience, you can say, the fullness of happiness here on earth. The fullness of that obviously then is in heaven, because obviously here things are limited, we suffer from evil and all that. Yeah, and then yeah, so I guess if you think of it from the perspective of the joy that you experience when you possess a desired good, then what happens when you possess or you are possessed by goodness itself? Then there's no space left for even more happiness. I mean, you are totally fulfilled. You see, and that's ultimately what we are made for, what we long for, to be happy, not just here and now, this moment when I'm enjoying this um, sunshine, or this plate of food, or this cup of coffee, or this beer, or this wine, but when I'm enjoying it forever.
Okay, my name is David Mora. I mean David Ngebe Mora, as you said now. I am a consultant. I work somewhere along Wayakiri. I work in PwC. I'm very much into philosophy, art, poetry, writing. I think I'm engaged, happily engaged, preparing for marriage, and excited about this topic. Yeah, I'm very excited about the opportunity to talk about pain and suffering, because I think that's what life is about. Well, pain is just a sensation. It's a sensation you feel when you're uncomfortable. It could be emotional, it could be physical. Now, how about suffering? Suffering is something that happens to you. Actually, in Old English, suffering is not necessarily associated with just bad things. You suffer, you even suffer good things, because things happen to you. But now in our context, I'd say suffering now is when there has to be a victim, somebody who's experiencing something, not out of cause of their own. Yeah? When you have too many choices, you get stuck. And so you leave high school where you had a schedule, you had KCSE was the end goal,
Yes.
you know, haircuts, so there's always something to look forward to. You leave high school without a clarity of what you really want in life, or what the meaning of your life is. So the chaos that came after is precisely because I let go of the structure. And so you have all these possibilities, and you can see how you can apply yourself in any of them. So first of all, that dizziness of choice made me very confused and very anxious. In high school, there's a social structure. You'll always be related with people. You'll always be needed. You'll always be useful.
Yes.
But when you leave high school, and let's say in an environment where things are provided, there's not too much responsibility, the last born, so there's not too much expected to do, then you end up caving in within yourself. You just become self-centered over time. And when you're self-centered, the more unhappy you become. I remember when I was staying in Satima while in my first year, I was very much at peace. Things are difficult, the illness was still there, but there's a certain peace that was there. But once I left the center, man, it was an amazing experience of difficulties that I could never imagine. For sure, when I was closer to our Lord, it was much more peaceful. Yeah, and the pain had meaning that time, yeah? Because now I could say, okay, it's painful, it sucks, but I can do it for God, at least, at the very least. Yeah, at least. I'd say with a lot of love. Connecting it with love. I don't think there's any suffering that's bearable without love. If you do things just for yourself, over time that will either destroy you or you'll just give up. But if you suffer for the sake of others, wow, that's more meaningful. So think about the father and the mother who deny themselves a vacation so that they can buy their kids clothes, pay for their school fees. For them, that suffering is, it's almost non-existent for them because it's so worth it. Yeah? Yeah. And I dare say, if you can, if the greater the love, the more you can bear that suffering with much more cheerfulness and joy. Yeah. So the greater the love, the more joy you'll have when you're suffering. I think it was as simple as if I can be this miserable, anyone else can be this miserable also. If I can be this weak, anyone else can be this weak. If Everyone is going through something in one way or another, and the best thing we can give them is compassion. Empathy is not enough. Sorry to put it that way, but empathy is just, oh, I feel for you, or I feel like you feel, I feel what you're going through. Well, it's a starting step to compassion. Now compassion, you endure it with them. So if your friend is broke, I mean, it means you don't just feel the pain for them, but you also help them out. You take responsibility. You take responsibility. You try and look for jobs for them. You make applications with them. Stay up at night, coaching them for interviews. That is compassion.
Wow.
You cannot have happiness there's no happiness without suffering. Wow. Because remember, in a world where there will always be suffering, we are made for greatness, we're not made to be animals, yeah? We're made for greatness. And greatness means you have to exert some effort. You have to deny yourself. So you have to suffer. You have to go through fire. Wow. We are made for love. And so for you to love somebody, you have to sacrifice. It can't be about you. So if you want to love people, if you want to find happiness, you have to suffer. And the sooner we realize that, the better. Because especially with love, our generation is really struggling with this. We don't want to commit. That's the reason we fear commitment. Because commitment is a significant level of sacrifice. Yeah. You sacrifice all possibilities. We are so afraid of that. And I think that's why we are so unhappy. Amongst the reasons, which are very many, why we are unhappy. Because love is a fundamental desire that we have. We are made for love. We are made literally to love and be loved. Anything less than that, then we are unhappy. Yeah, and love, sacrifice. So suffering, yes, we do need it.
From these three perspectives, we see a recurring theme. Doing it for God, doing it for love, and doing it for beauty. So the question I'd like to pose to you today is, in our search for happiness, do we pursue that which is good for our own sake? Or do we pursue that which is good for other people? Till next time, I was your host, Dennis Mashari.